Life is weird.
Super weird.
So, what did we decide to do with our fascination for the strange and unusual?
We made a podcast about it. This is Weirdify. Now,
let's get weird. Welcome, everyone, to Weirdify, episode 14.
Yay!
Weirdify.
Episode 14.
Weirdify. And this week we have a very, very, very special guest, my mother-in-law, Gina Hoyland.
Yay!
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm an avid listener.
Oh, I love that.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, so
it's very exciting. Yeah. And she's here for a very appropriate episode for her, which, Haley, what is our episode this week?
Weird traditions.
Love this. I'm very, very excited to see what you've come up with.
I'm excited to hear what you and most importantly, what Gina has to share.
Not most important.
Mine's a little yucky. Oh my gosh, Alex's coworker, he listens to every episode.
Okay.
And he has been putting together something to email us for What's the Weird.
Perfect.
And he went to downtown Disney like last weekend or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me a little pin, and it's like a villain's pin, and it has all these like descriptive words on it that says like evil, vile, wicked, like all these different things with a different villain like ear on the top. But he was like, he texted Alex and was like, I want to get her like a weird pin. And he was like, this one reminds me of Weirdify.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Isn't that so cute? And I told him that we wanted to add like pins and pictures and stuff inside of the Weirdifort. So I was like, we'll put that particular Disney pin. It's perfect for the first like pin to be christened with. Of course, it's got to be Disney.
That's
and from a listener. It's so great.
That's very cool.
Okay, take it away, Haley.
Okay, so this week I did, and tell me if you've heard of this, Gina or Amanda, either. Kanamara Matsuri.
No, never.
Okay. Well, every year on the first Sunday in April, people take to the streets of Kawasaki, Japan to celebrate the festival known as Kanamara Matsuri. Similar to other Japanese festivals, crowds gather in the streets to celebrate, and large wooden mikoshis are carried among the masses. And a mikoshi is essentially a wooden cart or a buggy. And normally at festivals, they're carried and they contain a shrine or a statue or figure or something. And people believe that there is a deity pertaining to the specific festival that resides in whatever's in the mikoshi.
That's cool.
And essentially the buggy offers safe passage from a temporary shrine to the main shrine. And they're normally carried by locals who are adorned in colorful robes and costumes.
Ooh.
Now, the main difference between these mikoshis in comparison to other festivals is that these mikoshis contain a variety of large phalluses instead of a deity. And by phallus, I mean exactly what it is. It's just a bunch of giant peens.
Wow.
I know.
This
has got some history.
Parade.
It is. I was like,
I wish I had Ding Ding.
I know. I thought about that when I was recording.
We have like a little penis totem.
Okay.
And I have a Pikachu.
My
and
totem
she has
has a little penis. His name is Ding Ding, and he's so cute. I thought about that as I was researching. I was like, oh no. I was like, we don't have Ding Ding.
He's going to be so mad.
He's going to be so mad. He's going to have it out for us. So, yes, you heard that right. The more formal translation of Kanamara Matsuri is, quote unquote, the festival of the steel phallus.
Wow.
And it has also become more loosely known as the penis festival for obvious reasons.
Gee, I wonder why it's adopted that nickname.
So though this festival may seem like it is just a silly excuse to be inappropriate and party, it actually does have a history that dates back to the 16th century, actually.
Wow, that's a really long time that they've been parading around penises.
I know. I was like, really okay.
About that. That's cool. All right. If we're ever in Japan, we should try to time it because I feel like that's worth seeing.
Oh, yeah.
Just like if we ever are.
It looks like it's a great time. It looks like it's a great time. A little bit of the history. So The festival's rooted as a part of the Shinto religion, which is known as an indigenous nature-oriented religion. So the legend states that there was apparently a red-faced, sharp-toothed demon that fell in love with a deity, so he hid in her vagina.
Oh.
And out of jealousy, he proceeded to bite the penises off of her first and second husbands.
Who made this story?
Wow.
This is great.
This is hysterical.
I don't know. It's the Japanese, man.
He's like, stay out of here. This is mine, my territory.
So in response, the woman sought the help of a blacksmith who built an iron phallus to confuse the demon and in turn break all of its teeth so it could do no more harm to any men.
That's clever. One way to work around your problem.
So that was the legend or the backstory that I saw in most of the places that I researched. But there was apparently another origin story where the god of blacksmiths and metalworking led to a movement of innovation in Japan. And he was responsible for the development of the fuigo, which was essentially a box with a hole in it. And the blacksmith would push a wooden dowel through the hole to provide a gust of air towards the forge. But I prefer that other origin story.
Right. Yeah. There's so much more flair to it.
Exactly.
Oh
so there's actually a metal sculpture of an anvil with supposedly the actual iron phallus that was built to deter this demon. And it is located at the Kanayama Shrine. And it's been there actually for centuries.
Wow.
And people have visited the shrine over the course of these centuries for multiple different reasons. So old time sex workers would often go and pray for good sexual health in the absence of any STIs. Couples would visit and leave offerings and pray for luck in their endeavors of starting a family. And others would simply come to just celebrate fertility. And since the surge of HIV/AIDS in I think it was the 80s that it really was prevalent, the shrine and the festival are used as a way to spread awareness and raise money for different causes that help fight HIV and AIDS.
Yeah, very cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it's transitioned into quite a movement.
Yeah.
And it does happen once a year. So every year.
Did you say when? When does it happen?
Sorry. It happens on the first Sunday in April.
I think you said that.
It's coming up.
It is coming up.
Yeah.
It is coming up.
Very timely.
I like it.
The first Sunday in April this year actually is Easter. So I guess that'd be interesting. Whatever tickles your fancy.
Yeah, whatever you want to celebrate. This or that. We've each got our own thing we're going to be doing on a Sunday.
So the festival actually tapered out during the late 1800s, but in the 1970s, Hirohiko Nakamura actually revived it. And because of the often very private culture that you'll find across multiple Asian countries, it was practiced only between about 10 to 15 members, and it was practiced at night. So it wasn't until 2012 when the popular TV personality Matsuko Deluxe made a name for the festival. It's attracted about 50,000 visitors each year.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
that's a lot of people.
It is, yeah. The videos I watched, they were just literally crammed in the streets. So think of the most busy street fair you've ever been to, and then add a shrine
and a bunch
on top of that, and then people are carrying all these giant penises. Yeah, crazy.
That definitely sounds like a good time. What could go wrong?
Yeah. We will now dive into all of the penises. And by all, I mean, there's 3 of them.
Okay.
So the first one is simply a stick straight, shiny black penis. It looks like it's made of just black. I don't want to say plastic. I'm sure it's something heavier than that, but it has kind of a plastic shiny look. And the group that carries that sing chants and they sway back and forth. And then they're just carrying this giant black penis on the first mikoshi. And then the second one is an old wooden penis that was carved, and it's just very worn. And they think that has actually been used in the festival for years. So it kind of pays homage to how the festival used to be back in the day. And then the third one, which is probably the most fun, it's huge, and it is bright pink. And it was donated by a local Japanese drag club called Elizabeth Kaikon, who named the phallus Elizabeth in the club's honor.
That's great.
And the employees will actually dress up in wigs and makeup, and then they'll bounce the giant pink penis up and down as they carry it through the street, getting the crowds involved. And it's like this whole thing, but that one was the most aesthetically pleasing, I guess. It's enormous. It is probably about like, I don't know, maybe a little shorter than you or I. It is giant.
Yeah, that's a pretty big peen.
Pretty big peen. And before the Mikoshi make their journey, there is a blessing by a priest that is said. And it is important to remember that although some aspects of the festival have been made to be a bit corny over the course of the years, the main shrine and the symbolism of the festival is very symbolic and personal for so many. Now, a couple of the activities that you can do at the festival, of course, visiting the Kanayama Shrine is the most popular, where you just walk through and you can see the iron phallus that sits in the middle of it. And you can also write your own prayers and give offerings to this shrine. And so there's a whole, like essentially a gazebo in the middle of the shrine.
Okay.
And there's all these different prayers and tokens and things that are pinned up on the gazebo. And it's just everyone's prayers and just good wishes and stuff. Some of them are, you know, have fun little drawings that are not so appropriate. It's just the whole
sounds
penis.
like your second version of Disneyland.
The penis theme is very prevalent.
Yes,
let's just say.
Clearly.
So there are also plenty of vendors. So like I said, imagine like just a standard street fair where you can get penis keychains, penis sunglasses, and then the nose is just like a little penis. And then they also sell food ranging from giant sausages to little lollipops that are in the shapes of penises, but they also have a vulva shaped one.
Okay.
So you can
a boba?
Vulva, like a vagina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The vagina's inside. So I was talking about the vulva because that's what they're actually making.
Right. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the
welcome.
anatomy.
It's now
Kaylee.
an anatomy lesson. So apparently there is also even a daikon radish carving contest. So daikons are very long and very suggestive. And so essentially anyone can partake in this radish carving contest, and whoever carves the best looking phallus wins. I don't know what they win, but they win.
Okay. Do they win all the rest of the people's carvings? Just go home with a bunch of carved penises.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're large. They're probably about this like long.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they just like sit down with like a knife and they're like, here, carve a penis.
Oh my gosh.
So my final little tidbit is the festival does grow in popularity each year, and it has become a resource for the LGBTQI community, as well as those seeking to break from the sexual stigmas and experience a freedom and understanding that they may otherwise never know. So that is the Peen Festival.
That is great. Thank you so much for that journey.
You're welcome. I want to share my screen just so you can see the penises I'm talking about.
Yes, please share your screen.
So here's like
these all look good.
Yeah. So here's the shrine, and then this is Elizabeth, and then this is all of the drag queens that work at the club who sing and bring the crowds in and all of that. Let me see if I can find one of all three. Okay, here you can kind of see
pink.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so fitting.
This is the black one. So the balls are right there, and then it's just the big black penis. Let me see if this is a better picture. Not really, but it has like white streamers hanging on it.
It's like got a necklace. That's great.
Yeah.
All decorated.
But yeah, there's just so many things that you can do, and it's just looks like it's very fun.
That one looks like it's a photo op, doesn't it? It's like
Yeah.
stand
Here you
behind
go.
the penis and take your picture.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So here,
$5
so this
to
is
take a
Elizabeth.
picture
This
of
is
the
more of a
penis.
close up of Elizabeth.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, she's enormous.
Yeah. Look at
And
those
then
penis
everyone's
pops.
sucking on these little like lollipops.
Dang,
and
Japan.
then-
Who knew?
I know. And then it
great.
doesn't show any of like the.
Yeah, where was all this when I went to Japan?
Yeah.
You know what was weird when I went to Japan? Fish ice cream. Fish flavored ice cream.
Oh
Oh.
no.
Yeah, I
Hard
didn't
pass.
get any.
Amanda just wants to jump right on that
Nope,
bandwagon.
nope,
I
nope.
didn't see any of this.
Oh, here you go. Here's the lollipops that are like the little cooter lollipops.
Oh.
So yeah. Okay. That's
Well,
all I
this
wanted
is
to show
truly
you.
the most appropriate festival for you to cover, Haley.
I was trying to think of what I was going to do, and I had an idea. I was like, no, I was like, there has to be weirder ones. And I came across the Penis Festival of Japan. And I was like, I'm sorry.
I'm intrigued.
I was called. I felt personally drawn in, and I was like, okay, perfect. So
That's
anyway.
perfect. Love that. Thank you, Haley. That was quite a stretch, quite a journey. Well, I was thinking that we would have Gina talk about some of her tradition things that she brought to the table next. Does that sound good?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Sure.
Perfect.
Sure. If you want to do that. Okay. I can't really follow up the Penis Festival, but I was just going to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, that's a hard one to follow up.
the personal, this is not necessarily the weird, but just like the weirdness of having to follow traditions in all of our own lives. So the tradition I was going to bring up was the tradition of the gold china, which is the tradition in my family. So this is my great grandmother, my mother's father's mother, who was from Czechoslovakia and had very humble origins and worked really hard and wanted to have this beautiful china. And she did. She got I don't think it was beautiful. I think it was horrid, but she bought this china that was just white china, but it had like a 2-inch gold band, really fancy, gaudy. And so when I was little, she spoke with an accent, right? Because she came over from Czechoslovakia when she was 16. And so she was like, my real name is Regina. So she'd say, little Regina, when you get big, I will pass this down to you. You will have this china, right?
You're like, oh, yay.
Yeah. And I was just, okay, so that's like a lot of weight to have, all of this responsibility. So I did actually, the china, when she passed away, it went to my grandma and then it went to my mom and then I got the china. Great. Now I've got this china. And so I tried really hard, and every Thanksgiving we had, our big meal on this china, and I tried to love the china, but I always just have hated the china. So when we just recently moved up to Idaho with COVID and everything, I just couldn't see it working in a mountain cabin sort of place. It was just way over the top. And so my cousin, who's also, it would be her great grandmother too. She has a beautiful house. And so I passed the china on to her, and it was such a huge relief. So I guess what I wanted to just say was like, don't let tradition get you down. It can be weird, and you don't have to. I guess the people in the Penis Festival figured this out too, right? You don't have to follow.
They accepted the weird, man.
Yeah,
Right.
you don't have to follow regular tradition. So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. There's things that are incorporated into our life without our necessarily okay.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe I don't want these plates. How come I have to take them because you died?
Right.
I don't want them.
Right.
Can we like sell them or
right?
But that's the tradition is it gets just passed down and passed down and passed down.
Yeah. And some people get so offended. My family is one of those families that get really, really like offended. And so it's like if I had passed it on to a cousin, they'd be like, no, she wanted you to have it. And I'd be like,
yeah. Well,
it doesn't work.
Born yet? Who knows?
Yeah.
She would have liked my cousin better. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. Well, and it's like it seems like your cousin likes it
She
more,
loves
and
them.
it seems
Perfect.
like it's a better home anyway.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Yeah, and she said, when we got married, I don't know why I picked out this floral china. I'm not a floral person. I've always hated my china from my wedding. And so she was happy to get rid of that, happy to get this. So it was just like a win-win all the way around,
Perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, sometimes tradition's good and sometimes it just gets in the way.
Yeah.
It just makes clutter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you're like,
Gaudy
I
clutter.
want to like these plates so bad, but I just can't. I just can't.
I'm just not that person.
Yeah. Well, they're in a better home now.
They
so
are.
that's okay.
Well loved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Amanda.
Okay.
What are you bringing us today?
All right. If you're eating Stop. This suggestion is actually from Gina. What is the book called that you were reading?
It's called The Tale of the Dueling Neurosurgeons.
Okay.
I think I got that right.
And so within this book, there's a scientist that travels to Papua New Guinea and studies this tribe. I'm not going to talk much about him, just like kind of briefly, but so I'm going to be talking about it's pronounced the Foray people, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So I'm going to be talking about the Foray people and a particular funeral ritual that they would perform. So a little background, they're located in Papua New Guinea, in the Okapa district. There's approximately 20,000 of them, and they occupy the north and south regions separated by the Wayne Vinti Mountains. So this tribe practiced what is called endocannibalism. And prior to this topic, I would say, I don't know, when I think of cannibalism, I think of, I don't know, I just kind of think it's gross or like really yucky.
You're not into eating people?
No, I can't say that I am. Or I think of like, just I've listened to so much true crime or just like serial killer creeps or just, I don't know, there's like a negative connotation that I've always associated with it. Or you could think of like, I don't know, the Donner Party, where it's like you're eating out of necessity or like to literally survive, you know?
There's a lot of social stigma against it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So endocannibalism, though, is an ancient ritual where these tribes would consume their deceased loved ones. They would basically cook and serve them. And instead of sort of this dark haunting thing, it's like more of a beautiful way to see a loved one out.
Mm-hmm.
In doing so, they believed that they could potentially take on their wisdom. It was a way to help them grieve the loss of this loved one, and it would show them respect through their passing. So once cooked, the men would eat the flesh. The women and the children, though, would eat the brain. And so like a side effect of this tradition is that, unfortunately, because the brain was eaten, it ended up causing an epidemic within their tribe, because by eating the brain, it was transmitting the degenerative words, the degenerative disease Kuru. And then Kuru, this is just a quote right off of Google. It is caused by an infectious protein, prion, found in contaminated human brain tissue. Kuru is found among the people of the New Guinea who practiced cannibalism, where they ate the brains of the dead people as part of their funeral ritual. So it affected the women and the children instead of the men, because the men didn't actually eat the brains, and it ultimately affected about 10% of the women. So some of the side effects of this disease, Kuru, is, well, it actually translates to shiver or tremble. And then a few other symptoms include the loss of motor skills, so difficulty walking or loss of coordination, difficulty eating, slurred speech, muscle twitches, dementia, random laughing or crying for no reason. And sadly, there's no cure. So once you have it, you have it. And then so in this book, it talks about, how do you pronounce his name?
Gaidacek. Yeah.
Gaidacek and Bloomberg were awarded Nobel Peace Prizes for their work in discovering the prion responsible for the Kuru disease. So it was sort of running rampant in the 50s and 60s, and they actually used primates. Gaidacek would drill a hole into the primate's head, and he would put pureed brain matter into the cerebellum and then wait for the effects to begin, which could take years. Like the incubation period is really, really long. But he ultimately made this incredible connection between this, tradition that they had been doing for centuries and centuries to it, ultimately killing a lot of their women.
Wow.
So because of this discovery, the practice was basically outlawed in the 50s, and the Kuru outbreak has declined ever since.
Did they say what contaminated the brain?
Well, it was a genetic mutation.
Okay.
They said, and they made the point in the book that practicing cannibalism doesn't, necessarily make you sick. It's just that, they ate victim number one, and then, say 20 people ate that person. And so then they got it. And so they just kept eating people that had it. and it had an exponential effect.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So kind of crazy, like an interesting ritual and then an interesting side effect. And then unfortunately the ritual ends because of this, unfortunate side effect that happens. But yeah, that's Kuru and
Wow.
the people of Papua New Guinea.
But it is really interesting how different people see death and
Yeah.
their traditions,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're very much,
Hands off.
hands off, and we don't want to think about it. But like when I lived in Mexico or even in China, the whole, they have Day of the Dead in Mexico, and they have the tomb sweeping day in China where you go very similarly and you sit on the grave and you take food and drink and you kind of hang out and party and clean things up and show your respect. And we're just kind of like, okay, let's walk away from it. And
that's so interesting.
There was a lot of things related to death because I just did the standard thing I do every week where I'm like, weird buildings or whatever. And so I was like, weird traditions, and a lot of them mentioned death in some way, whether it was ingesting their loved ones or keeping them around longer, like specific things with like the mummification process and just those types of traditions. And it's almost very like romantic, not so much maybe in like a partner kind of a way, but it's just very beautiful, very like deeply rooted
absolutely
thing in so many cultures. And it's like you said, Gina, we just kind of are like, okay, we'll have a celebration of life or a funeral, and maybe every year on the anniversary of the death we'll put flowers or whatever the case is. And it's just something that we're kind of just emotional wall. But we're like that with a lot of things in our society.
I would agree. That's interesting. We are pretty hands off with that. I mean, I'm not gonna like eat, my deceased relatives like brain, but then like Gina and I were talking right before we started this, that's like just because we were born where we were born, whereas like if we were born in this tribe and this culture and that's what we knew and we grew up with, it of course wouldn't seem weird, or it might seem weird. Well, and their whole thing was like, oh, we want to consume our loved one for the reasons that I mentioned, but also so that the worms weren't eating their loved ones.
Yeah, because that's almost disrespectful.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a total flip on how we literally bury our people, you know? So it's interesting.
It's definitely a cultural divide for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so fascinating because I mean, I feel like that's what sets us apart. And that's why we're here talking about all this stuff, because it's like, learning about this where, I kind of come into it with this idea of what I know of cannibalism or what I've been taught about cannibalism. And in reality, there's beautiful ways to practice it, ways from the heart that you can practice it that aren't gross and aren't yucky and aren't, it's like, no, I loved you. And so I take you on kind of a thing. It's just interesting.
Yeah. And we as a country, we're like a little baby country. We're still so new compared to so many other countries. And from the beginning of time, the Egyptians, Mesopotamians, all of them had these really in-depth death rituals and death practices and all these different things that they did. And we just don't do it. Somewhere along the line, we separated ourselves enough that now it's just part of life, but we treat it just kind of as that. And it's like, okay, move on to the next thing.
Right. Exactly.
Unfortunately. Yeah. That's really interesting. I don't want to say that cannibalism is bad, but I definitely like my face. I couldn't help it. The way my face was like kind of moving when you were telling me, I was like, no, I'm going to absorb it. I'm try to understand it, because I understand the symbolism behind it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, oh no, no. Not my cup of tea.
I know. I was saying, I was like, don't want to eat my grandma's brain when she passes, but if that means something to somebody else, and that's part of your whole culture and your whole tradition, more power to you.
Did they say how long the tribe has been in existence? Because they said it stopped, like the practice stopped in the 50s.
Yeah, I don't know how long the tribe has been in existence, but the tradition I read has been around for centuries. So this tribe is very, like they could have been around for hundreds of thousands of millions of years kind of a thing.
They're just very
private, but also just sustainable. Like they can just keep living their same circle over and over and over again, So there's no reason that they wouldn't be living right where they live. A while ago, I was watching a YouTube video. I didn't catch the guy's name, but a guy went there to study them. And he's like, right now, like this picture is exactly what this tribe looked like 10,000 years ago. And he was like choking up. He was like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
But, you know, so
like putting a pause on time.
Yeah. I've taken, they've been around for quite some time.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, traditions. That was fun.
Yeah.
I like that. Little here, little there, little
All
from
over the place.
home. I love it.
A little buffet of different things for everyone to sample.
Yeah. Sample some penises off of the china with grandma's brain.
Mm. Yum. Dinner of champions.
Dinner is served.
Weird smorgasbord.
Oh God. Well, should we wrap it up?
We can wrap it up. Sure. Thank you for being on here, Gina.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
It's really cool to it's really cool to see two faces. I usually see Amanda's, which is already great, but it's nice to have like two people on the other side. I'm like, oh, more people.
Yeah. Keep bringing the guests.
It's kind of perfect how everything all worked out with the equipment, because you took your microphone like a month before you guys got the vid.
Yeah.
And so you already had your microphone at home. And then because you took your microphone, we started using this headphone splitter, which is allowing both of us to hear you.
I was like, did you use the headphones? I'm so thankful. It worked out perfectly.
Like, all of the equipment situation has just been like perfect, you know?
Love it. I love it.
Well, yeah, thank you.
You guys made it work.
Yeah, we did. We were playing with it. I was dicking around with it with Chelsea earlier, and like she couldn't hear out of one headset, and I'm like, no.
Like no matter how much troubleshooting we do, something always goes awry.
Always something.
You're working with technology, and it just has a mind of its own.
Exactly.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure you know very well first.
Yeah. Well, if you guys have any of your weird tradition stories that you would like to send in, some China that you didn't exactly enjoy either, or any other fun tradition, you can email us at weirdifypodcast@gmail.com. Or through our website, weirdifypodcast.com. There's a make contact tab where you can suggest a topic or email us your favorite story.
Yes. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Weirdify Podcast.
Yes.
And I did make a little highlight reel on our Instagram showing how you can access our make contact tab on our website and submit your own stories, just in case you are confused on how to do it or whatever. And we also have a Facebook page.
And a YouTube page.
So there's a lot of places that you can listen to us.
Yeah.
Keep up with us.
Absolutely. And if you're listening and you're liking and you're enjoying, rate and leave us a little comment. Tell us how you're liking it. It helps us get up in the ratings, you know.
Yeah.
Give us 5 stars instead of 4. You know the drill, guys.
Give us a little download. So you always have
we'll download.
Accessible
you know,
to
tell a
listen.
friend if you've been enjoying. We see a lot of you guys tuning back in from all over. Thank you so much. It's so amazing. We're so happy that you're still here.
I just checked the downloads from yesterday and I was like, it's always exciting when it's the day after it goes up and I'm like, oh, there's people.
Oh my gosh.
It's
I've
always
been
just
here.
So shocking.
And
I don't know
so
why it's so shocking.
I didn't even think to log on yet. Usually I'm like every hour on the hour looking at the downloads, and because here I've been distracted. I'll have to pull them up soon.
Yeah. Other than that, we hope everyone is staying safe.
Yes.
And staying healthy.
And staying weird.
Weird. I hope you guys have safe travels back home.
Thank you.
And that you enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's worth it to get away. Times are still crazy.
Yeah, let me tell you, laying by the pool today was
dang, it's a rough life.
Totally worth it.
Oh, so rough.
Well, until next time, guys.
Yep. Remember,
keep
it weird.